had a Patreon message from David, and he was asking some questions, and this video is essentially aimed at you, David, and we need to talk about slurs and phrasing. Not like that. On Mondays, I tend to try and give like a sort of guitar lesson-y type thing. It might be a lick lesson. Today it's kind of going to be more about approach stuff, maybe phrasing and that sort of thing. And maybe some other stuff that you might not have seen me talk about before, but maybe you have.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands.
I just wanted to interrupt this to tell you that TrueFire are actually running their best offer that they ever do on the All Access membership at the moment. So use the link in the description. You can get their All Access pass for just $99 a year. Access to all the TrueFire stuff for $99 a year. I think that's actually fantastic value, even though they are paying me to say that. Kind of one of the things that we can do on guitar is bend, right? And you're very used to hearing people bend on guitar. When you're playing live, one of the things that I've found is that it can be quite difficult to actually kind of hear pitch and stuff. You know, I've checked videos back of some of my playing, and sometimes, you know, a bend that in the moment at a volume you thought was in tune can be flat, all this sort of stuff. And sometimes, you know, when you're playing a guitar with a trem, you can kind of think, is this going to stay in tune or not? All of these kind of considerations, I think, are part of what has led me to some of my approach, which kind of favours sliding in some ways over bending. I kind of think about this a little bit as like a sax player. I think a sax can do some amount of like a portamento slide, but a lot of what they do is kind of like an acciacatura or a crushed note. And essentially what we are talking about is like for a small moment before your kind of main note that you play another note. Now on guitar we're very used to this kind of sound really. So when I'm going from B to A here at the 12th fret, instead of it just being, you heard, well, I think I did a rake as well. So two things going on. I was raking probably from the D string to the B with that sort of thing. So that's one element that you might want to check out. So you've got like an attack first, and if you slowed it down, I was going from the A up to the B first, and that I think is not necessarily better or anything like that, but it's a different expression than... So both valid, but one maybe a little bit more guitaristy, right, in some ways, or has some character in some ways. Let's just put a little bit of drive up front. So let's just talk about some of this stuff. I think the first thing to maybe try would be, so say you're playing in A major, might be, I'm using a pads preset here. Check out the Gumroad if you want to try this on Helix or HX Stomp. You won't get all of the chords for HX Stomp, but you can on the Helix. So just slide 1 fret, and that sort of thing. Now, very rudimentary, sort of straightforward stuff, and not necessarily the sort of thing that's going to sound great just by itself like this, but if you put that into the middle of a... So there, in that case, what I'm doing is going up 4 notes, and then to restate the note that I end on, I'm going to slide from beneath. And you could do a slide up by 1 fret, or a slide down by 1 fret too. And maybe there might be a bit more of the, like, sort of Eastern sound to... And one thing that I've really done a lot, so say we were playing in A major still, but over chord 6, a lot of my stuff kind of has been, I think, influenced by Pat Metheny in some ways. So if I was playing over the 6, it would be like this 9, and I would play the flat 9, and yeah, oftentimes if I'm hitting that note, I'd be going underneath, and particularly if I'm playing over chord 1, then I'd be viewing that as like the 7th of an A. And I definitely... And in all these cases, like, just... I think you'll find that there's these little slides all over the place in my playing. I think I might have seen Guthrie Govan doing this sort of thing, where I really noticed that even like a simple phrase, let me think of what it might be. There's a phrase in Fives which... where he does these kind of slidey things. And he might even bend them, I can't really... can put these kind of anywhere, so I would encourage you to try. And it's the sort of thing that can, even if you kind of got like a... There's a phrase. So 7, 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 7. You could try kind of, where can I put an acciacatura? So there's 2 there, there's 1 at the start. So slide up from the 6. And then there's 1 at the end here, slide down from the 8 to the 7. But equally, anywhere in that phrase. Right, that sounds a bit crap, right? That sounds better. So at the start, there. So maybe the crush note first, straight note, going above the notes there. But I don't know if you agree, like that has a bit more of that Eastern flavour to it. What if we... But it suits me better to have the first note of a phrase and then hammer on that second. So that would probably be my main approach, would be like I go 1 fret below, like on a pentatonic phrase, and then as I come back down, I probably go 1 fret above. And you can do these little slidey things, but some people kind of find them a little bit overdone, certainly in my playing. But that kind of slide up from the 5 to the 7, come back down to the 7, and then back up to the 8, and then pull off down to the 5. Definitely worth trying with some arpeggios. You don't necessarily even have to slide, you could just hammer on. And that's another approach to this, and that's the same kind of principle really. Bit tricky when you do the arpeggio thing. But I just think that's a really cool way to get some kind of control. And don't forget, you could do full tone slides. And the thing to remember when you're doing these slides is to look at where you're ending up. So if I'm doing a fast slide from the 8th fret to the 13th fret, my eyes need to be at the 13th fret before I get there. That would be my starting point for this stuff. I would start, if you're in kind of, say we're in G now, but we're kind of on C Lydian. I would start that 14th fret to 15th fret, sliding from the 7th degree to the 1st degree. Get some of that slippery sound into your playing. I hope that's somewhat helpful. If you're wanting kind of more full length kind of solo tabs from me, I'm going to put up my third one of these. September I missed one, there's going to be 2 in October, but I got Daniel Martinez to tab out the what happened to the RG solo as that was requested. So it's like a 5-minute tab. There'll be tab running alongside the video. There'll be Guitar Pro, there'll be the backing track, there'll be musical, there'll be PDF of it, but it's kind of this full format solo approach, so you can get into this phrasing if you're into my phrasing particularly. So hopefully that will help a little bit. I'll put up the backing track that I was playing over here as well, but yeah, hopefully that will give some of you guys something to get into, where like the kind of slides and all those little bits of my phrasing, you can kind of pick out those little parts and think, well, how would I do that? How would I incorporate that part into my playing? That's on the highest Patreon tier, which is like £5 a month, so hopefully not too much of a rip-off. But yeah, that's kind of where you can go for these full format tabs. Thank you for stopping by. If there's some kind of favourite players of yours who kind of do this slur thing, I'd love to know your thoughts. Eric Clapton maybe. Cheers for stopping by.